Welcome to channel I make your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about Migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side so once we get all the updates and news, be the first one getting all the insight. Now today's video, obviously we are on the what's the date? It's the 14th of October. It's the date that the voice referendum finally we'll see the result, and don't know how that will actually shape the future of Australia. Obviously we are no longer in a what should I say, we are in global sense currently, where any country has anything event happen, you actually will consequently, direct or indirectly, affect our lives. So today's video, I would like to talk about the value. Is it really worthwhile to migrate to Australia? It's probably the same way if you want to value or compare migrating to Canada, US or UK or Europe as well. Now, why am I doing this topic? Well, obviously we are in a post-pandemic era where the war broke out in Europe, Eastern Europe, where the Russia and Ukraine, and recently we have just saw what's happening in the Middle East, where Israel's army military is targeting on Hamas. Now, obviously, hopefully that will resolve very soon. But any of these kind of events plus the COVID. We're gonna remind everybody we had just been through that 2 or 3 years, has made everything, the costs rise. So we are in an era of inflation, which is the fact. Now, if we go back 10, 20 years ago, you get a job and you work in Australia, probably you can make a fortune or make some good savings, should I say. Now, is it the same that you get the same result? And is it still worthwhile that you should really consider migrate to Australia? I'll have that answer assessed and analyzed at the end of this video. So let's have a look at the first thing, which you may want to keep a record of yourself. It's called Pay Calculator. Now, it's a website that's designed for anyone who wanted to calculate, obviously, the income and the taxes that you were required to pay. It's a website that's obviously they requires a lot of advertisement going on, so you may see the advertisement continue to pops up. But anyway, that's how the website makes the money. So anyway, I'm not gonna bother about the advertising around this. You see that Bosch advertising there, so just ignore that. Now, what I wanted to show you is, obviously, let's move that over a little bit. If I put an annual income of 80,000, which is 10 grand more than the standard required by the so-called, the employment sponsorship. That's where they put the standard income threshold, 70,000. So, but I put 10k more than the required standards, so it's $80,000 per annum. So if you work at a job and you make 80,000, either it's gonna one or two job, doesn't really matter. Now, it may seem a lot in a lot of countries, but is it still valuable? That kind of amount that you made in Australia will actually do something good for you? It's question mark. Now let's have a look. It's really require, if you're just a single person, it would be really hard and really tough for you. So that's what I'm trying to say here. You really need to get somebody in a couple, but you don't want to get into a relationship easily and then causing a lot of problems. That's another legal lecture there. But if we're just looking at 80,000 per annum and deducting all the taxes. So for the year of 2023 and 24. Now, I'm not too sure about 24 and 25. Let's have a look. It's a little bit, not much of difference. Okay, you probably have lesser tax. But anyway, it's not much of difference. That out of the net income that you actually get is this amount, $61,933. Now, not 80,000, 61,933. Okay, now is that still valuable in today, 2023 and 24? Now that kind of figure will flow basically the same around EU and UK and US and Canada. Now, bear in mind, I think in Europe the inflation is worse than in Australia, so you probably make lesser. Now, that's not all, because we need to calculate the cost of living. So you may want to search this website as well, cost of living comparison for Australia, and it's called Finder. And you will lend yourself to this table here. See if I can extract it a little bit over, pull this over a little bit. Okay, now this is purely, we're looking at renting an apartment, 85 square meters rental apartments. It's going to be house or whatever the accommodation. So if you're in Sydney, okay, 3,526 in average per month. Now, how much is that? 3,526 times 12. That's $43,312 per annum. Now, how much do we have saved? It's only 61,933. So that means you probably only end up with just barely about 20,000. Now, if it's going to be 20,000, okay, left for you, and 52 weeks, every week you got about just less than $400 savings in your pocket. Now, that's not just we have not added in the cost of all your food, travel, transportation. So it's going to be $400 divided by 7 days. Each day you can only spend about 50 to 57 bucks. Now, that's not much. Imagine taking a train or whatever the transportations, light rail, going to work. 80,000 per annum income living in Sydney, you probably end up with saving nothing. That's how horrible is that? Now, you really need to get somebody to live together with you. Now, if you're in Melbourne, that's not much of a difference. So Melbourne, and see, like Brisbane's actually costs higher than Melbourne now. So if we calculate that, just put the Brisbane's figure times 12. 32,160 per annum for the rental. So again, you probably get a little bit more, but if you got that's ending up about 500 and about $100 that you can actually spend per day. That's actually what's happening there. So Sydney is a little bit, if you want to really save something in Sydney, probably nothing. But if you're in Brisbane or Melbourne, you probably can save a little bit, but see, not much though. Really not much. Now, why am I doing this video? See, we need to really not just looking at the visa and migration, because a lot of people has been blurred into this vision where migration is everything, but we're in a global world, and we have just finished 2 or 3 years of pandemic. Everything is changing, and changing fast. And your mindset really need to change as well. So the reason I'm doing this video is that to show you, if you really wanted to live in Australia, well, it's a beautiful country, and you're barely making the income about like 80,000, and you really need to seek, and that's just a lot of people probably can't even make 80,000 per annum. So if you live in Sydney, 80,000, you probably end up saving nothing. If you're living in Melbourne or Brisbane, you're probably saving about 10K per year, bear in mind, only 10K. 10K is not much. You really need to think about getting into a relationship with your partner, okay? And then save together. But if the relationship breaks, that's another legal problem. So what I'm trying to saying here is you really need to look into factual figure and stats and analyze whether migration is a good thing. Now, bear in mind, the education, the quality of life in Australia is brilliant. It's obviously brilliant. If you're in a profession and you end up with a good career and you're making way above 80,000, obviously Australia will be a good place to be. But if not that kind of figures, you really need to think twice. Now again, is it worth still? Look, we're in a very unstable world today. Now, migration or having a residency of other countries is obviously a good plan B. You know, we just don't know what will happen. You see what happened in Europe and what happened, and look, not just Ukraine. I think Poland is really, you know, shaky looking against the neighborhood as well. And last weekend, what happened in Middle East? Now, what's going to happen later on, perhaps in East Asia? We don't know. And that's not just talking about war, but what about the inflation causing the problem of living costs? Looking at South Africa, South America, there's a lot of issues there as well. So obviously, having another residency of other countries is worth of getting it. But if you're really thinking about having a career in life, making money just for a sense, probably think twice. Anyway, this is just more of an issue that I have chat about with a lot of my clients and friends and come up with this thoughts. What I'd just like to share with you. Should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below. And I'll see you next video. Goodbye.